Copenhagen, the capital of Denmark, is one of the oldest capital cities in Europe. Despite its age, Copenhagen offers a contemporary, trendy lifestyle with a thriving nightlife scene and great shopping. Major tourist attractions include Kronborg Castle, Tivoli Gardens, the Little Mermaid, and Bornholm Island. Kronborg Castle, located in Helsingør, which is about 30 miles from Copenhagen, is an architectural marvel of the Renaissance era and was used as a fortress during that time. The castle inspired English playwright William Shakespeare's setting for his play Hamlet. This UNESCO World Heritage Site is a must-visit for those who love history and architecture. Established in 1843, Copenhagen's Tivoli Gardens is the second oldest amusement park in the world. This popular destination offers a combination of performing arts, rides, including a wooden roller coaster, and many attractions such as an arcade and aquarium. The fairy tales of Hans Christian Andersen inspired Edvard Eriksson to build the Little Mermaid statue. Made in 1913 of bronze, you can see the Little Mermaid sitting on a rock by the water at Langelini Promenade. This is one of Copenhagen's most popular tourist attractions. Bornholm, an island in the Baltic Sea, offers many tourist attractions ranging from scenic fishing villages and rocky sea escapades to sandy beaches. Visitors can enjoy Denmark's natural beauty at its best here. Popular towns reflecting this beauty include Rona and Svaneke. British baker Richard Hart cut his teeth at SF's Tartine before teaming up with René Redzepi, heard of him? To open a sourdough bakery in family-friendly Frederiksberg. Beyond loaves of the signature bread, there are cardamom buns, croissants, whole-grain mustard croissants wrapped around hot dogs, and a Basque cheesecake that will leave you speechless. In October 2020, the Hart empire expanded with a new shop across the Inderhavensbrun Bridge near Newhavn. You could spend an entire day at the Maritime Museum of Denmark, which tells the story of Denmark's seafaring history through permanent and rotating exhibitions like In the Shadow of War and Ships of All Times. Almost invisible from the street, this underground museum is worth the trip to see the architecture alone, but you can also learn more about how Denmark became known as one of the world's leading maritime nations. Getting there, you can get to Helsingør by a 30 to 40 minute drive, or you can also take a train from Copenhagen Central Station that takes about an hour. Travel tip: when you're done exploring the museum, head to Kronborg, a 16th century castle that was also the setting of Shakespeare's Hamlet. Denmark's extensive coastline means fresh fish is never far away, and herring is beloved among hungry Danes, who enjoy it smoked, cured, pickled, or fried. Served with a side of potatoes or atop smørrebrød are the most common ways to enjoy the fish. Herring is even better with akvavit, a spirit distilled from grain or potatoes and flavored with caraway. Ready to discover this local treat? Restaurant Monergade offers modern presentations on traditional herring dishes. While it is accurate to describe Bakken, also known as Dierhavsbakken or Deer Parks Hill, as the world's oldest existing amusement park, there really was no such thing as an amusement park, at least not in the way that we currently understand the term when it first opened. After all, in the 16th century, there were no roller coasters, dark rides, water rides, or any of the other attractions that typically line the midways of modern amusement parks. Heck, Bakken even predates electricity, the Industrial Revolution, and the steam engine. In its earliest years, King Frederick III established the forested area as a hunting reserve for himself and his royal entourage. Common people nonetheless flocked to the park, attracted by its freshwater spring, which, legend had it, delivered mystical healing powers. The king also established a zoo on the grounds. It wasn't until 1756 that King Frederick V welcomed the general public to Bakken. That brought vendors peddling goods and operating food stalls and itinerant entertainers such as clowns, jugglers, singers, and mimes. The first rides at the park were operated by hand and included a rudimentary Ferris wheel known as a Russian swing. In the 1800s, steamship and railroad service began bringing throngs of visitors to Bakken, and in the 1840s, Bakken got its first steam-powered carousel. The park added more mechanical rides and, in 1932, opened its first roller coaster, Rutschebanen, roller coaster in Danish. The wooden coaster still delivers thrills to visitors today. Other classic attractions that endure include bumper cars, a carousel with original wooden horses, and a miniature train. After World War II, Bakken expanded and added more modern amusement rides. Bakken. Busy sightseeing days, late-night drinking fuel, or a just-because snack are all good enough reasons to grab a Danish-style hot dog. And the nearly foot-long hot dogs, called red pulsers, are a national staple, like herring and smørrebrød. But unlike the American counterpart, the Danish hot dog is always 100% pork, loaded with gourmet toppings, and served on a homemade bun. Catch a rolling hot dog stand, called a pølsevogn, by chance or order from two of the best in town. Dop by the Round Tower on Købmagergade. A pedestrian street specializes in organic hot dogs, and they make the best veggie dog in the city. Or head to the meatpacking district where John's Hot Dog Deli works with a local producer to ensure the best pork is used. Their DIY topping cart is filled with fried Jerusalem artichokes, shaved foie gras, black truffles, homemade mustard, onions, and rhubarb. When it comes to exploring the Faroe Islands, you can either rent a car or utilize their public transportation system. The bus system, a more sustainable and much cheaper way to get around the islands, is well planned out and easy to navigate. Adults can book a 4-day pass for 500 Danish kroner, $74.50, or a 7-day pass for 700 Danish kroner, $104, which includes ferry rides. Kids travel even cheaper. The buses are efficient and visit the smaller villages like Kirkuber and Tjornuvik. Find more about the buses and ferries at the official site. Although buses in the city capital of Tórshavn are free, spend some time walking to places like Teiganes, a famous old area with cobblestone streets and centuries-old turf houses that are begging for a photo shoot. This historic point is where one of the world's first parliaments met, and today it still houses government buildings. If you're looking for more freedom during your trip, a car may be the way to go. But keep in mind, it takes a confident and experienced driver to traverse the narrow one-way roads and dimly lit subterranean tunnels that connect the Faroe Islands. However, they do drive on the right side of the road. When renting a car, go with companies like 62 Degrees North, but be sure to rent a GPS as most cars don't come with one. There are many tunnels in the Faroe Islands. So it's a good idea to buy the unlimited tunnel pass for 300 Danish kroner, $42. There are also very few speed limit signs, but remember it's 80 km per hour, about 50 miles per hour, on the main roads and 50 km per hour, about 30 miles per hour, in populated areas unless otherwise noted. Find more important information about driving safety in the Faroe Islands at the tourism site. There are numerous parking restrictions, especially in the Tórshavn. There is signage displaying how many hours you can park in a spot before you need to move your car. Set the clock on the bottom right corner of your windshield to the time you parked your car, otherwise you may get a 200 Danish kroner, $30, fine. There are no parking restrictions on Sundays. For a special treat, take one of the world's cheapest helicopter rides subsidized by the government. Usually reserved for locals, lucky tourists can snag a seat for as little as 125 Danish kroner, $19, one way. Just be sure to book a week in advance. There are multiple flights to the Faroe Islands from European capitals including Paris, Reykjavik, Copenhagen, Bergen, Edinburgh, Barcelona, and Billund on Atlantic Airways and Scandinavian Airlines. Even without a direct flight from North America, you can easily fly to the Faroe Islands with a stopover in Reykjavik, Iceland, Copenhagen, Denmark, or Edinburgh, Scotland. Local whiskey, pristine beaches, and the remains of Tycho Brahe's 16th century observatory are the top attractions on the island, but the 360 inhabitants of the island also offer a number of local cuisines, crafts, and shops to browse. If you're looking to escape all the noise of the cities to a peaceful, secluded location, this tiny island is like a little piece of heaven on earth. Getting there, located between Denmark and Sweden, the ferry from Copenhagen takes about 90 minutes to get to Funen Island. If you prefer to drive, it takes about 2 hours along the E20. Travel tip: if you're a whiskey drinker, head to the Spirit of Funen distillery for a tasting. Copenhagen has multiple outdoor skating rinks that offer great ice skating and excellent scenery. The ice rink at Frederiksberg Rundle is free and open each day in December. Bring your own skates or rent a pair there until an hour before closing. Situated by the entrance of the Frederiksberg Gardens, this rink provides a lovely setting as you warm yourself up with a little brisk activity. Just be sure to skate counterclockwise to avoid any crashes. Kronborg Castle is definitely one of the top sites in Denmark. This impressive castle was the actual inspiration for Elsinore in Shakespeare's Hamlet and remains a popular attraction in Denmark year after year. In Danish, the castle is called Kronborg Slot. Travelers can find Kronborg Castle at the northernmost tip of the Danish island of Zealand. This castle is included in the Hamlet Castle Tour from Copenhagen and the North Zealand Castles Tour. Kronborg Castle, in Danish, Kronborg Slot, is strategically located at a very narrow strip of water between Denmark and Sweden, near Helsingør. Its location helped medieval kings to regulate import and export and was a collection point for waterway taxes paid by ships passing through. The town of Helsingør is not far from Copenhagen, approximately 30 miles, 49 kilometers, and can be found at the northernmost tip of the Danish island of Zealand. It is said that Kronborg Castle was used as the inspiration for the place setting of Elsinore in Shakespeare's Hamlet. If you are taking a guided tour, this castle is included in the Hamlet Castle Tour from Copenhagen and the North Zealand Castles Tour. You can spend an entire day exploring the Natural History Museum of Denmark, which features a variety of special exhibits each year. Anyone with a curious nature will no doubt enjoy a visit to the Zoological Museum, where you'll find out interesting things such as narwhals and beluga whales can interbreed. You can expect to see attractions such as huge dinosaur skeletons, unique specimens and artifacts from around the globe, and fascinating oddities like the heart of a Greenland whale, preserved in spirits. The museum also houses permanent exhibitions such as their mammoth installation and is open Tuesday through Sunday. Located north of Copenhagen in Frederiksborg Castle, the Museum of National History provides visitors with a chronological look through the history of Denmark. The museum is open daily year-round, but hours vary slightly from November through March. On weekends from April 13th to October 20th, the museum offers guided tours, some in English, of the castle's opulent rooms and the rich collection of history paintings, portraits, furniture, and art. Take a break by the castle lake and have a Danish lunch or snack at the restaurant Leonora. Lolland is the fourth largest Danish island in the Baltic Sea, located south of Zealand. It's typically grouped with the smaller islands of Falster and Møn and connected to them via a highway. Among these three islands, you'll find sand dunes, fjords, and attractions like the sculptures of Dodekalitten, a modern Stonehenge equipped with a permanent sound system exhibit. A self-proclaimed phantom brewery, Mikkeller doesn't operate a home brewery and instead relies on collaborations with other brewers to create their beer. With exports ranging from classic IPAs to experimental one-off brews, Mikkeller is where to go to experience a one-of-a-kind beer. This second location of Mikkeller, one of Copenhagen's largest craft beer exports, is 3 times the size of the original bar with no fewer than 40 rotating taps featured at once. In addition to beer, Mikkeller and Friends features specialty Mikkeller spirits, soft drinks, and snacks to soak up all the delicious craft brews. If you're lucky to visit Copenhagen in May, you'll get to experience Mikkeler's annual beer celebration that features special casks and tastings from small breweries from all around the world, with many premiering new beers or tasting special one-off batches brewed specifically for the annual festival. While brunch hasn't gone mainstream with the Danes, there are a few spots in town that offer an outstanding breakfast, and Mirabelle Bakery is at the top of that list. The sourdough bread is baked in-house and cut into a thick slice for a perfect French toast with handmade ricotta and organic jam. The weekend's only Eggs Benedict is cooked Danish style with a dense slice of rye bread. Still hungry? Their chocolate croissant is legendary. Located near city of Borre on the island of Møn, the Møns Klint is a 3-mile stretch of chalk cliffs considered to be one of Denmark's natural wonders. You can spend the night at a campsite just above the cliffs or down by the beach, or if you're interested in geology and science, visit the Geocenter Møns Klint, Northern Europe's most modern science center. Getting there, the island of Møn is about an hour drive to the south along the E20 to the E47. That's typically the quickest and cheapest way, but there's also a direct train between the two places that takes about 1.5 to 2 hours. Travel tip: besides just taking in the beauty of the cliffs, there are also a few hiking trails around them you can take. And it's also possible to find fossils in the area, so be on the lookout. Known more commonly as SMK, Statens Museum for Kunst, this is the largest museum in Denmark and houses works collected by Danish royalty for generations. The building acts as a crash course on all things Danish, from Viking tools to medieval fashion and Denmark's history from the 1600s to modern day. There's more than any reasonable person could see in a day, so book one of the thematic tours and prioritize learning a lot about a little. There's great children's museum, best for ages 4 to 12, a section on Egyptian mummies, and a top-notch gift shop. Noma is Denmark's best-known restaurant, and there's an argument to be made that it's also the most notable restaurant in the world. The thrill, awe, and shock, especially during game and forest season, that René Redzepi and his massive team of line cooks, servers, and sommelier managed to produce keeps the world watching. After closing the original location and decamping with a pop-up in Mexico, Noma returned to an airy, waterside location in the Christianshavn neighborhood. Offering 3 seasons, game and forest, seafood, and vegetarian, Noma has something for everyone willing to pay $455 a head. Make the most of it and arrive early to see the greenhouse, ask for a tour of the fermentation labs, and linger for one more drink in the library. Located in the heart of the hip Nørrebro neighborhood, Nørrebro Bryghus is a modern microbrewery serving up their own unique beer influenced by Belgium, Germany, and the United States, with their own Nordic twist. The traditional Nordic cuisine in their restaurant is the best way to get a taste of classic Danish cuisine perfectly paired with a new beer. Bysnap Beach is near the northern end of Jutland, outside the town of Hals. The sheer size alone of this Danish beach makes it worth a visit. There are activities for kids, good parking, and even wheelchairs can access this Danish beach easily on a dedicated path to the beach. Hals is found easily, it's about 30 kilometers, 20 miles, east of Aalborg. Take a royal-themed day trip to North Zealand including a tour of Frederiksborg Castle, which is also home to Denmark's Museum of National History. You can learn about the flamboyant King Christian IV who once lived here, walk through rooms like the Coronation Chapel, and then stroll through the castle's French Baroque gardens with a guide. Be sure to stop and take some photos of Fredensborg Castle, the annual summer residence of the Danish royal family. If you want to learn more about what you're seeing, the museum offers guided tours for visitors. Getting there, you can reach the castle by car, a 40-minute drive, by taking Highway 16 toward Hillerød. Or by public transportation, take the S train line E to Hillerød, and walk 15 to 20 minutes from the station to the castle, either through town or along the lake. Travel tip: if you'd like to take a guided day trip to see all this, you can book a reservation online. It departs from City Hall Square in Copenhagen at 10:30 a.m. from May to September and takes about 6.5 hours. The tour is informative and interesting. Rain go away. Not in November, it seems. This wet month won't slow down the locals, and they wear head-to-toe rain suits as they ride their bikes or take the metro. If you can't beat 'em, join 'em, we say. Stylish rain gear is available at the trendy Rains clothing store. Most importantly, November welcomes the holiday season, with festive markets, warm glasses of glögg, and canopies of sparkly lights cover the walking streets. It's festive, cozy, and will warm the hearts of any Grinch out there. Events to check out. 1. When Halloween ends, Tivoli closes for 2 weeks before reopening its World of Christmas Magic in mid-November. Enjoy a holiday market, warm glögg, and festive lights as you go for a stroll. Book tickets to see performances of the Nutcracker from the end of November through December. 2. The Royal Copenhagen flagship store transforms its third floor with stunning tablescape from the end of November into December. 3. Hotel d'Angleterre in the center of town goes all out with their holiday decorations, and the unveiling of the year's theme occurs while the royal band performs. This festive occasion is held around the third week of November. Go all out and pop in for a glass of their famous white glögg, made with white wine and apricots, by the hotel's fireplace. 4. On the first Friday in November, Tuborg debuts its much-loved Christmas beer, with beer trucks handing out free bottles to drunken Santas in crowded bars. While smaller in scale, J-Day can reach levels akin to Santaken in New York City, which may or may not be your thing. Either way, pop in for a free beer and to sing All I Want for Christmas Is You with a new Danish BFF. The third largest city in Denmark is Odense, which is located a little over 100 miles southwest of Copenhagen. With a population of over 200,000 people in 2017, this growing city boasts some great attractions of its own. From its award-winning zoo to the many great museums like Brandt's and the home of Hans Christian Andersen, you're sure to find something to do on your trip any time of year. As an added bonus, there's also a city beach within easy access if you're visiting in the summer. This Nørrebro beer bar is the perfect stop after a long day of exploring wonderful Copenhagen. Despite its small size, this little brewery serves up a few of their own small batch microbrews alongside their weekly rotation on tap. With its eclectic array of furniture and affordable prices, you'll learn the true meaning of hygge after spending a few hours relaxing with your friends. Tivoli Gardens is Copenhagen's most popular tourist destination. Millions of people fill the gardens, dine in the 40 restaurants, enjoy the entertainment, ride the amusement rides, play the games, or just sit and eat ice cream and people watch from mid-April to late September each year. Tivoli was opened in 1843, and it was once on the western edge of the city. Today it is in the center of Copenhagen and, for those on a cruise, it is only a short taxi ride from the Langelinie cruise ship pier. The entertainment varies each day, so be sure to pick up a map and schedule when you pay the entry fee at the gate. Tivoli is at its best at night, when over 100,000 colored lanterns light up the gardens. Copenhagen. Copenhagen experiences an oceanic climate, which is quite variable throughout the year. June is the city's sunniest month, whereas July is the warmest, with temperatures around 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 21 degrees Celsius. Winter is quite dark, with minimal sunshine, and sometimes extreme amounts of snow. Aarhus. Aarhus is Denmark's second largest city and experiences a temperate oceanic climate. In general, spring is mild and summer months are warmer. Winter experiences frost and snow frequently, but can sometimes be more temperate than other Danish cities. The city's average temperature throughout the year is 47 degrees Fahrenheit, 8 degrees Celsius. Aalborg. Aalborg is cool during much of the year, averaging around 68 degrees Fahrenheit, 20 degrees Celsius, during the summer months and 27 degrees Fahrenheit, -3 degrees Celsius, during the coldest month of January. September is the city's wettest month, receiving 3 inches of rainfall on average. Odense. Odense experiences a climate similar to Denmark's other major cities, with summers reaching up to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, 20 degrees Celsius, and winters dropping just below freezing on a regular basis. Unlike some of Denmark's other cities, Odense is subject to extratropical cyclones which result in increased rainfall in both July and August. It is located on a fjord, which must be kept clear by icebreakers during the winter months. Perhaps the highlight of Bakken is one of its oldest rides, Rutschebanen. At 72 feet, the wooden roller coaster dominates the skyline and encircles the park. It reaches a top speed of 34 miles per hour. Rutschebanen required brakemen to ride along, manually slow, and bring its trains to a stop until 2010 when more modern trains were introduced. Other coasters, all of which are steel, include Tornado, which features spinning cars, Wilde Moose, a wild mouse-style ride that includes abrupt, hairpin turns, Mine Train Ulven, a family coaster that hits a top speed of 40 miles per hour, and Marianen, a kiddie coaster. Among other thrill rides are Tarnjaiset, a drop tower ride that climbs about 100 feet, and Sky Roller, a flat ride that flips passengers 360 degrees. The Pendulum Ride, Supernova, also sends passengers head over heels. Van Rutschebanen, the park's log flume ride, soaks passengers and helps cool them down on hot, summer days. Spogelsestoget, Ghost Train, is an old-school dark ride with loads of gags and jump scares. Participants in the group game, Crazy Theater, enter the auditorium, sit in seats equipped with interactive shooting devices, and aim for targets projected onto a large screen. The 5D cinema combines 3D footage with special in-theater effects and motion-equipped seats for an immersive experience. Bakken offers several rides geared specifically for younger visitors. These include the children's Ferris wheel, the Little Train, which snakes around the park's grounds, and Svanebanen, a monorail-type ride that travels among the tops of the park's ancient trees in vehicles that look like swans. Spinning rides include Dizzy Ducks, the Frog, and Kangaroo. The latter two jump up and down as well as spin. Small kids can drive their own cars on the park's Jeeps ride. Bakken. This common Danish dessert dish is a combination of rice pudding mixed with chopped almonds, whipped cream, and vanilla, usually with a cherry sauce, served cold. It is typically a Christmas dessert, but it can be found year-round at many restaurants in Denmark. With a population of just 50,000 people, Roskilde is still a city worth visiting on your trip to Denmark. Located just 19 miles west of Copenhagen, Roskilde offers a number of historical sites including 1st-century Viking vessels and an active boatyard next to the harbor. Each year in June and July, the Roskilde Festival welcomes over 130,000 visitors from around the world to the city to experience 8 days of music, art, activism, and events featuring over 180 acts, delicious food, and plenty of entertainment. Other times of the year, Roskilde is relatively quiet but still offers plenty of great attractions for casual tourists. For a unique experience, you might consider heading west of the city to the Land of Legends attraction, where actors recreate Stone Age and Viking life at an interactive open-air museum. Rugbrød is a dark rye bread that is considered a staple for most Danes. It is very low in fat and contains no oil. It is high in fiber and whole grain and considered a healthier alternative to white bread. It's served at breakfast, lunch, and dinner in Denmark. Rugbrød can be found at any bakery or grocery store in Denmark. Many Danes make their own homemade rugbrød since they eat so much of it. This traditional Danish dish is a spiced meat roll consisting of a piece of pork belly that is flattened out and covered with chopped onions, seasonings, and herbs and then rolled up and cooked. Once cooled, the roll is thinly sliced as a cold cut and is usually eaten on an open-faced sandwich. It is often topped with onion and other veggies. Rullepølse is often eaten for lunch and is a standby at food stands and restaurants. One of the most popular ways to really experience the history, culture, and architecture of Denmark's capital region is to take the Grand Day trip, a small group guided tour of 3 major castles including the UNESCO heritage site Kronborg Castle. On the tour, you'll get to visit Roskilde Cathedral, the burial place to more kings and queens than anywhere on earth, before heading to Frederiksborg Castle, the biggest Scandinavian Renaissance-era castle still standing. Getting there, the tour leaves from the area across from City Hall in Copenhagen. Travel tip: bring your camera to photograph the beautiful nature of the Danish Riviera. One of the most beloved day trips from Copenhagen goes to the city of Aarhus, a historic city on the east coast of Jutland, Denmark's western peninsula. It offers a great selection of nightlife entertainment and also annual events, such as the Viking festival in July, in which people gather to recreate the early days of the city with markets, sword fighting, and more. The city is also home to the Contemporary Art Museum, Aarhus Kunstmuseum, botanical gardens, and a palace. Getting there, the quickest option is to fly to Aarhus from Copenhagen, which takes about 45 minutes. Or if you prefer to take a train, the journey is about 3 hours and trains leave the city every 30 to 45 minutes. Driving takes about 3 hours. Take the E20 west until you hit the E45, and go north on the E45 to Aarhus. Travel tip: if you're not in town during the festival, you should visit the Viking Museum for a glimpse into this significant aspect of the city's past. The Faroe Islands are a group of islands or one of the most naturally stunning and unspoiled places in northern Europe with a population under 50,000. Made up of 18 small islands, the Faroe Islands are located about halfway between Iceland and Norway. It's a place known for beautiful scenery, fresh air, waterfalls, and a maritime atmosphere. The Grand Tour of Copenhagen covers all the major sites of the Danish capital. Traveling in a comfortable bus on this tour, you visit Amalienborg Palace, the winter residence of the Danish royal family, the Little Mermaid in the harbor, and much more. The tour departs daily year-round from City Hall Square, in front of the Palace Hotel. Listen to old tales of Shakespeare at Elsinore Castle. See Queen Marguerite's summer castle Fredensborg and bring your camera to photograph the beautiful nature of the Danish Riviera. This is one of the best guided tours in Denmark and a great value for the price. Departs daily in summer, 3 times weekly in winter. What a unique way to see Copenhagen. This guided tour guides visitors to each attraction in Copenhagen. You can hop on and off as many times as you want on this fun-to-ride open-top double-decker bus. Each of the 3 routes offered takes about an hour. The hop-on hop-off ticket is valid for 24 hours from first use, for all routes and as many rides to sites as you want to see. Bornholm is a Danish island in the Baltic Sea, east of Denmark and south of Sweden, with the nickname Pearl of the Baltic. There are wonderful beaches, lots of bicycle paths, and architecture from the 1800s. You don't need a car on Bornholm, buses, bicycles, and Danish taxis are everywhere. To get to Bornholm, fly to Rona Bornholm Airport or check out the ferry connections. Also known as Denmark's Garden Island, the wildly romantic island of Funen, is the home to many fairy tales, and it's also the birthplace of writer Hans Christian Andersen. Funen is also home to a number of beautiful castles, known as slots in Danish, like Nybo Slot, Ejeskov Slot, Brom Gods, Holkenhaven Slot, and Haraldslevgard Slot. You can spend all day wandering through the rolling hills checking out acres of orchards and a variety of old farmhouses, or head over to the open-air museum Den Finsk Landsby, Funen Village, and Odense Zoo. Getting there, accessing the island is relatively easy. If you drive, it's about an hour and a half, and there is a toll bridge. There's also a direct train between Copenhagen and Funen that is typically a little quicker than driving. Travel tip: the island of Funen has a strong culinary scene. It hosts several food events and festivals, and it's home to several great restaurants. Don't skip the chance to indulge while you're here. One of the best day trips from Copenhagen has to be a visit to the islands of Lolland and Falster. These islands offer things to do no matter which town you are visiting, but Nørrebro has several attractions to see. If you're in Nørrebro, consider visiting the Museumsbanen, Museum Train, Knoxkovs Green World Zoo, and the submarine U-359, but you can also visit a 12th century royal residence, Alholm Castle, in the town of Nysted, and don't forget Nothenborg Manor with its safari park, open April to October. Getting there, Lolland is connected to Denmark's Zealand by a bridge. A day trip from Copenhagen to Lolland is an 80-mile drive along the E47 road south. Travel tip: this destination is home to beautiful nature and plenty of adventure activities. While here, try a few, such as biking, kayaking, fishing, golfing, and more. The King's Garden, Kongshav, at Rosenborg Castle in Copenhagen is the most popular. Although the garden has undergone several major changes during the years, the three entrances have been preserved. In the park, you will find the Hercules Pavilion and the now famous statue of Hans Christian Andersen. In the summer, there is a puppet show for children and the lawns are crowded with sun worshippers on warm days. What's Denmark's biggest attraction, but also the smallest? The Little Mermaid in Copenhagen, at just 4 feet tall. The Little Mermaid sits close to the shore of the cruise harbor Langelini on her granite resting place, in the harbor area Nyhavn. It is a short walk from the main cruise pier, nearby many of Copenhagen's other major attractions and locations to see the architecture in Copenhagen. The city of Aarhus has a historic old town that is without a doubt one of the best sights in Denmark. If you're not too far from Aarhus, visit the old town here. There are beautiful old houses, little shops, and food and drink on offer, and just lots of things to look at. Travelers get 50% off Old Town admission from January until March, and children under 18 are always free. The Øresund Bridge is one of the can't-miss sights in Denmark. The scenic 10-mile bridge connects Sweden and Denmark, carrying over 60,000 travelers by car or train daily. The toll for driving across the Øresund Bridge is paid at the toll station on the Swedish side. This is definitely one of my favorite attractions in Denmark. Pretty much everything here is made of Lego blocks, millions and millions of them. Except the food, this is the original Legoland amusement park which opened in 1968 and charms more Denmark visitors every year. Countless attractions and rides for all ages, along with indoor activities, exhibitions, and new thrill rides. Travelers find Legoland in Billund, in the heart of Denmark, 150 miles west of Copenhagen. You can't visit Denmark's capital and just ignore the Tivoli. Especially if you're traveling as a family, the Tivoli should be at the top of your list of attractions and sights in Denmark. There's everything from serene park areas and activities for smaller children to rides for thrill-seeking teens and adults. Open daily in the summer from 11 a.m., closing time is between 10 p.m. and midnight. The museum is named for hometown hero Bertel Thorvaldsen, an incredible sculptor in the neoclassical period and one of the first Danish artists to gain real international fame. Thorvaldsen spent significant time in Rome crafting bespoke pieces for Napoleon and the Pope. The museum showcases his plaster and marble sculptures, personal letters, memorabilia, and art he collected in Italy and abroad. Guided tours are 50 minutes, and you can book one that ends with wine and snacks. This bite-sized museum in the center of town is perfect for chilly, rainy days when you want to warm up indoors and learn something. Founded in 1880, Tuborg is one of Copenhagen's oldest breweries. After merging with Carlsberg in 1970, together they're one of the world's leading exporters of beer. If you happen to be in the city the first Friday in November, you're in luck. The annual launch of Tuborg's Christmas ale, Julebrig, is held that weekend as a celebration across Denmark. Brand reps drive around in their official Tuborg trucks visiting bars and cafes while singing the traditional Tuborg Christmas brew song. Best of all, if you happen to catch the truck, you'll have the chance to get a free beer to Skål to the start of the festive season. Located just a 50-minute drive from Copenhagen, you'll find wonderful cultural events offered at the Esrum Abbey several times throughout the holiday season. The abbey itself, originally built in 1151, is a beautiful stone structure that once was home to Cistercian monks who were renowned as sheep farmers and producers of fine wool. Now, you can make wool yarn with your family using old-fashioned tools just as the monks did, and even partake of medieval cuisine such as pancakes made with quince and apples. When it's too cold or damp to stay outside, get warm and toasty as you explore one of Copenhagen's numerous museums. The Hirschspring collection has a large assortment of paintings from Danish artists of the 18th and 19th centuries. Just down the road is the National Gallery of Denmark, which holds nearly 9,000 paintings and sculptures, and admission to the permanent collection is free. If modern art is more your style, try the Den Frie Center of Contemporary Art or the Arken Museum of Modern Art, located in a nearby suburb just outside of Copenhagen. If you prefer something a little more offbeat, check out the Medicinsk Historisk Museum and its collection of fascinating artifacts from medical history, or explore the Cisterns, a subterranean museum of modern glass art. The Amalienborg Palace is the home of the Danish royal family. The Amalienborg Museum allows visitors to see the private interiors of the most recent past kings and queens and an exhibit on the monarchy today. Amalienborg is famous for its royal guard, Den Kongelige Livgarde. The changing of the guards takes place daily. See the guards march from their barracks in 100 Gothersgade by Rosenborg Castle through the streets of Copenhagen and end up at Amalienborg, where the changing of the guard takes place at 12 o'clock noon. Fall is a great time to get out of the city and visit the deer in a lovely historic setting. Dyrehaven, the Deer Park, 20 minutes north of Copenhagen, is a place where you can take a walk in the woods and enjoy the lush forest, small lakes and open meadows. More than 2,000 free-range deer live in this beautiful setting. You're certain to come across them peacefully grazing. The park is ideal for picnics, jogging, biking, and horseback riding. You can even take a tour of the terrain in a majestic horse-drawn carriage. In 2015, Dyrehaven was recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The land was once used for hunting by the Danish royalty who hunted on horseback following a pack of hounds. The Hermitage, the king's impressive hunting lodge, is located in the heart of the park. You can ride a train from Copenhagen's city center to Kronborg station to get there. The iconic Little Mermaid statue is a must-see for visitors to Copenhagen and is only a 10-minute walk from the cruise ship pier. At less than 5 feet tall, the little statue is much smaller than most people expect, and she sits on a rock near the shore, not in the middle of the harbor. Hans Christian Andersen wrote The Little Mermaid fairy tale in 1837, and in 1909 the founder of Carlsberg Breweries, who was fascinated by the story, had the statue built. The Little Mermaid statue has sat on her boulder since August 23, 1913, but has had a very turbulent life, with at least 8 vandalism attacks. She has been doused in paint numerous times, had her right arm amputated, been decapitated 3 times, and even pushed from her rock in 2003. Fortunately, the sculptor made a mold, so the Little Mermaid's parts have been recreated by recasting the bronze using the original mold. If you're a die-hard American craft beer drinker, you're in luck. War Pigs is the love child of Indiana's Three Floyds and Denmark's Mikkeller. Featuring Texas-style barbecue, American, Danish-style brews, this is your best chance to taste a little bit of home with a hip and innovative Danish twist. Located in the heart of Vesterbro's meatpacking district, the brewpub always has 22 beers on tap, 6 house beers, and 14 rotations that will surprise any native or visitor. If you're looking to spend time outdoors, get a 1-liter crowler to enjoy at Kongen Have or one of the many bridges, like a true Dane. In the southwestern part of Jutland, near Esbjerg, you can pick among 2 great sandy beaches, Nimindegab Strand and Henny Strand. These Danish beaches are known for their high sand dunes and nice waves on the North Sea. Drive toward the west coast of Jutland, and Road 181 will then lead you to Nimindegab. Wienerbrød is the sweet breakfast pastry that North Americans refer to as a Danish. It is a sweet bread usually filled with jam or custard and topped with icing. While Americans often eat this sweet for breakfast regularly, it is usually only eaten in Denmark on special occasions or weekends. If you love this at home, you should definitely try the genuine article. You'll find wienerbrød in any cafe or bakery in Denmark and also in grocery stores. This is Denmark's largest island. On maps of Denmark, the island of Zealand is the smaller, eastern part of Denmark. The main attraction on the island is the country's capital city of Copenhagen, but there's also a lot to explore in other cities like the many fjords and small uninhabited islands that pepper the coastline like the quirky micronation of Ellor.